Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another review. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I appreciate you all. And let's just get right into this review. So at the very beginning of episode 7, Kaz ends up pulling Micah to the side to have a conversation because obviously Micah feels some type of way after Kaz had a date with Holly. She feels like Kaz has been acting some type of way towards her, like he hasn't really been talking to her as much as he usually does ever since he had this date with Holly. Now, despite Micah feeling this way, she decides to match with Kaz anyway, and honestly, I do feel like Kaz and Micah like each other. Like, I feel like there's an attraction there. However, I feel like Micah is more interested in Kaz than he is in her, and I feel like he wants to expand his options and explore other matches with other people. But because he's been matched up with Micah for quite some time, that's the reason why he stays with her. I think it's only because they're comfortable, but I do feel like she likes him more than he likes her. So at this point, both Holly and Melinda end up having to go home because they didn't match with anybody, and Melinda was really salty about this because Chris basically told her on their date that he was going to match with her and end things with Tulu, but he ended up rematching with Tulu again, so now she's going home and she feels like he's a liar. I don't think that he necessarily said that he was going to match with Melinda instead of Tulu, but he did say that he was interested in matching with Melinda, so that's why she feels some type of way about it. Now, all the couples at this point end up arriving at the beach for their next compatibility challenge, and Nick ends up asking everybody who they think is the weakest couple in the group, and everybody said that Micah and Kaz were the weakest links. Now, for this compatibility test, they had to work together as a couple. The guys have to be blindfolded while the girls lead them in untying themselves from this really big knot. And Kaz and Micah had a lot to prove because since everybody said that they were the weakest link, they wanted to prove that they have great communication, and they actually ended up winning this compatibility challenge. And I thought that it was going to be Steven and Alora because at first they were in the lead, but Micah ended up pulling through and got her and Kaz through the entire compatibility challenge, and this is the second time that they've won. Now, Kaz and Micah end up having a really fun date, and obviously there's an attraction that they have for each other, and they definitely have a lot of chemistry. And Micah was actually proving my point during this conversation that she had with Kaz because she told him that her feelings for him continue to grow every time they match with each other, and she's just nervous that things won't work out between the two of them. And I don't think it's going to work out between the two of them either. I think she likes him more than he likes her, and the two of them argue more than any other couple in the house, so I really don't know if they're actually a really good match. Meanwhile, Harry is back at the house trying to wow Jessica. He ends up setting up flowers on the bed, and he puts cute little notes for her about all the things that he loves about her. And I thought that that was really sweet and cute. And honestly, even though Harry is a player and he does lie, I do think that he is interested in Jessica. I think he really does like her and he's attracted to her. However, I do think that he's doing too much with claiming that he wants to marry Jessica and that he wants to be with her forever. I don't believe that. I just think that he's saying the things that he feels like Jessica wants to hear at this point. I'm not saying he doesn't like her. I'm just saying that some of it I do feel like is fabricated. Now, Micah and Kaz end up going to the boardroom the next day, and they decide that they want to mix things up a little bit. They want to basically get revenge on Steven and Alora because they ended up putting Kaz on a date with Holly, who they knew was exactly Kaz's type, and they did that on purpose to try to break up him and Micah. So Micah and Kaz decide that they're going to try to break up Steven and Alora by putting them on dates with their exact types because Steven and Alora have already explained to each other that neither one of them are each other's usual type. So they end up putting Alora on a date with Nigel, who is her type, and they end up putting, Steven on a date with Britain, who is his usual type. And I mean, I can't say that Micah and Kaz were wrong for this because at the end of the day, you have to play the game the right way. And if you want to win perfect match, you need to put people on dates with somebody who you think that they'll leave their current match for. And that's exactly what they ended up doing with Steven and Alora. And despite the fact that both Steven and Alora had really good dates, they both still ended up choosing each other. And I love Steven and Alora together because I just feel like they were random. I didn't think that the two of them would match up with each other in the first place. But the fact that they did, and it's really working out, and I feel like they're genuinely interested in each other. I like them, and they're definitely my favorite couple. To me, they're my pick for the perfect couple this season. But for a second there, Alora got scared thinking that Steven was actually going to match with Britain instead because he was talking about how much she's his type and how much he enjoyed their date. And Alora started crying and she walked away, and she told Stefan that she was nervous that he was going to pick Britton, but he assured Alora that she's the only one that he wants, and I like them together. Unfortunately for some of the other guys, they were a little bit shaken up when they saw Nigel show up, because most of the girls said that they were very attracted to him, and he was making his rounds because he wanted to make sure that he can match up with somebody so that he didn't have to leave the house. Harry was one of the first guys to actually get nervous about Nigel being in the house, because he ended up pulling Jessica to the side first, and he was being very flirtatious with her because obviously he's attracted to her, and I think that Jessica found Nigel attractive as well. However, I knew that this was not going to work out in Nigel's favor, because Jessica is all about Harry and she's not interested in matching with anybody else. Perhaps she's not really playing the game the right way, but she's interested in Harry and nobody can change her mind. But at this point, Micah is really pissed off at Kaz because he's having a conversation with Britton and it's going really well. The two of them are laughing and joking around, and Micah is watching from a distance. Now look, I feel like since he's talking to other people, she should be doing the same thing instead of constantly focusing on what he's doing. However, I can understand why she's so upset, because her feelings are invested in him. She really does like him. Like I said before, I think that she likes Kaz more than he likes her, and that's the only guy that she wants to match with. But he is keeping his options open and flirting with everybody, and at this point, I feel like she should be doing the same. And Ellie's is being very messy because she's still upset about how everybody tried to break up her and Harry, and it ended up working. I don't know why she's still mad about that, but she tries to break up Micah and Kaz. She basically tries to push Nigel and Britton to flirt with both Kaz and Micah so that they can match with them instead of them matching with each other again. But Micah can immediately tell that Nigel and Britton are trying to break up her and Kaz, and she's upset about it because she still wants to match with Kaz. So when Micah and Kaz are kind of having a little bit of a back and forth, Kaz gets really pissed off when he realizes that everybody is working together to try to make him look like a bad guy and break up him and Micah, so he starts flipping out at this point. I honestly feel like he was doing too much in this situation, though, because honestly, it's a show. Everybody has to play the game. You know what to expect when you come on this show. People are trying to break people up so that they can win the perfect match, so I don't understand why he blew up like this. I just feel like him and Micah don't bring out the best in each other. And to prove a point to everybody on this show, they decide that they're going to match up with each other again, Micah and Kaz, because they want to prove that they're not the weakest couple. So because Nigel and Britton don't have a match, they end up getting sent home. I was not surprised about that. I knew that they were going to get sent home because everybody is pretty much secure in whatever relationship they have right now. Look, Harry and Jessica are doing too much for me because they're acting like they're already in love with each other. Harry is already saying that he's in love with Jessica. She's saying, "I love you back." I just feel like it's too soon for them to be saying that. I feel like Harry has a tendency to say what he thinks a woman wants to hear. And I know that's me judging him because I don't know him personally, but I have a hard time believing that he's really genuine. Now, the next day, Nick ends up showing up to the house and he's being really messy because he ends up telling them that they're going to split them all up. It's going to be a guy's day and a girl's day. And when the guys get to their little event that they have, the girls who did not get picked, all the eliminated girls and the unmatched girls end up showing up, and they basically have to mingle with these girls to shake things up a bit. And the same thing with the girls, they end up going out and all the guys who are unmatched end up showing up. So at this point, they're definitely shaking things. So at this point, all the girls who are unmatched end up showing up to Guys' Day, and Harry is already in his confessional talking about how attractive he thinks Christine is. And honestly, it's okay to think that other people are attractive when you're in a relationship with somebody. However, the way that Harry tells Jessica that he loves her and he's all about her, you would think that he wouldn't be talking about how attractive he thinks another girl is. Now, they end up having Trevor show up from last season of Love is Blind, and I was surprised that they ended up putting him on the show because obviously it came out that when he went on Love is Blind, he was in a full-blown relationship with somebody else, and some other things came out about him. Maybe he came on this show to try to redeem himself, but he really didn't get that much camera time. Meanwhile, Christine has her eyes set on Kaz, and Kaz is definitely flirting back with Christine. You can tell that there's chemistry between the two of them, and she keeps trying to get him to kiss her, but he won't do it, but you can tell that he really wants to. However, I think that it's good that he didn't go do that because he would be making a huge mistake, because even though these girls want to match with somebody so that they can get into the house. Some of the girls came there just to shake things up and not to get another match. They just wanted to shake things up so they can go back to the other girls and tell them what the guys were doing. And Nigel is at Girls' Day trying to flirt with Jessica, and it's not really working because she's not flirting back because she's all about Harry. Meanwhile, Harry is carrying Melinda all around. Like, Melinda has been all in Harry's face the entire time that she's been at Guys' Day. I think she chose him on purpose because she knows that he's a bad boy and that he's the easiest one to entice and get him to do some shit he's gonna regret later on. And that's the reason why she was all over him. I don't think she should have been all up on him like that. But at the end of the day, he's the one who is telling Jessica that he loves her. So even if Melinda was in his face, that's her job. She was supposed to be in these guys' face to try to get them to do something, to see if they really are with their perfect match. And it was Harry's job to not go through with anything. Like, it was Harry's job to be able to control himself, and he was not able to do it. And Brighton is being extremely messy. Like, he is definitely trying to get back in the house because he does not like that he was eliminated too soon. So he's in Micah's face and he's telling her bad things about Kaz and how he flirts with everybody because he wants to keep his options open. And because Micah doesn't trust Kaz and she's insecure in the relationship that they have, he contributes to why she acts insecure. But I'm just saying, she shows her insecurities. She ends up believing what Brighton is saying, and even though she believes what he's saying, she wants to talk to Kaz about it first. But then Brighton ends up turning his sights onto Ellie's, and Ellie's is very attracted to Brighton. It's very clear that she's attracted to him. But because Ellie's knows that Brighton was brought in to try to shake things up in the house, she really doesn't give him that much hope that they'll match up with each other, and she basically shows that she's going to stay loyal to Justin. Now, I know that Micah is just trying to vent to people about what she's going through in her relationship with Kaz. However, every single conversation I see her have with one of the guys or the girls in the house is constantly talking about the bad things in her relationship with Kaz. And that's not really a good thing to do in this house, because the second people see that there's cracks in your relationship, they're going to do what they can to try to break the two of you up. And then there's no chance of you really matching with anybody else, and you end up getting sent home. Micah ends up having a conversation with Izzy, and this time he apologizes to her for fanning out over her a few episodes ago. He was really embarrassed about the way that he was fanning out and talking to her, and I don't think that he should be embarrassed about it. Like, it was cringy, but at the end of the day, it was how he felt. Micah definitely was a little bit weirded out by the things that he was saying the first time that they spoke, but I think she can tell that he's just a nice guy and that he was just really interested in her. But Izzy can tell that things are not going to go anywhere between him and Micah because she's still stuck on Kaz. So he goes to have a conversation with Tolu, who he was originally matched up with, but she ended up unmatching with him to match with Dom. And he ends up asking Tolu where things went with Dom. And she tells him that unfortunately things didn't work out, but now she's with Chris. So basically, she doesn't want to match with Izzy anymore. She's not interested in him. And he sees that very clearly now. I kind of knew that Izzy wasn't really going to match with anybody because of the way that he acts too awkward and he's not very straightforward. I think the girls in this house like a guy that shows confidence. The funny thing about it is, well, it's not funny, but while Tolu is over there rejecting other guys, Chris is over there flirting with Xanthi, and he's telling her that maybe his connection with Tolu is not as strong as he thought it was, and maybe his connection with her is keeping him from making other connections with other people. And then he gets in his confessional and says that he's interested in Xanthi. So I honestly do think that had Xanthi would have told him that she was interested in matching with him, he would have unmatched with Tolu and matched up with Xanthi, and Tolu would have been left in the dust. I was disappointed in Chris because I really liked him and Tolu together. At this point, Harry got himself in quite the situation because yes, Melinda was all over him. She was sitting on his lap. She was making him carry her. And then on top of that, she basically had him take body shots off of her. But it was his job not to go through with anything that she was trying to get him to do. It was his job to be able to control himself, and he was not able to do it. As soon as other women came around, he didn't know how to act. And so he was carrying her, letting her sit on his lap. And now she's saying that when he was carrying her, he ended up kissing her twice. And then the third time that he tried to kiss her, she kissed him back. And I don't know if it's true because we didn't see it. And he's claiming that it did not happen and that nobody saw it. However, one of the girls is saying that she did see it, and I don't think that Melinda has a reason to lie. I think that he did kiss Melinda. I think that he was drunk. I think that he likes attention from other women, and I believe that he did kiss Melinda. I hope that they do a reunion for this season of Perfect Match so that they can show the clips of that we didn't get to see. And basically, both Melinda and Xanthi said that they're going to go back and tell all the girls what the guys were doing. And I could tell that they were going to be the two that was going to go back and tell the girls what the guys were doing. So Chris basically screwed himself with the things that he was saying to Xanthi. And Harry definitely screwed himself big time with Melinda. Now, after Girls and Guys Day is over, everybody's downstairs talking to each other about what went down. And Jessica feels some type of way because she doesn't see Harry anywhere. But basically, Harry has been upstairs under the covers crying. And I honestly feel like if he really did not kiss Melinda, he would not be upstairs crying. So I think that he knows that he's going to get caught. And so he's crying. Jessica goes upstairs to check on him. And it's kind of awkward between the two of them. And he tells her that he was being a little bit too playful in the day. And so she can tell that he probably did something that he shouldn't have been doing. So she kind of started going off on him a little bit in a respectful way, but she definitely was going off on him a little bit. And he was crying and trying to sweet talk her. And it actually ended up working because she ended up hugging him and crying with him too. And I just feel like things are getting too intense between the two of them too soon. I feel like they should be like Steven and Alora. They don't get too deep with each other, but they're enjoying each other's company and getting to know one another. They're not trying to rush into anything. Now, Micah and Kaz end up having a conversation, and she was honest about having a talk with Brighton and said that she spoke to him a lot, which she did, and I'm glad that she was honest about it. And Kaz ended up saying that he talked with Christine a lot, but he didn't go into details about everything that was happening. But he did say that Christine was trying to kiss him, and Micah obviously felt some type of way. So she kind of starts going off on Kaz a little bit, saying that she doesn't feel secure in their relationship, and that Brighton told her that he said that there's somebody in the house that he's interested in getting to know. And now all the unmatched guys and girls end up showing up to the house, and you can tell that there's some nervous people in there. Cough, cough, Harry. And so Christine says in front of everybody, including Micah, that she had a good connection with Kaz and she really enjoyed her conversations with him. And you can tell that Micah was really upset about that and she saw Christine as a threat. So all the girls are sitting at a table together, and that's when all the tea is spilled because Melinda ends up asking Jessica what Harry told her. And Jessica very confidently said that Harry admitted to carrying her around and admitted that he was being too playful. And that's when Melinda was shocked that he didn't tell the truth. And she told Jessica exactly what happened, that he was carrying her and he ended up kissing her one time, then he kissed her a second time, and then the third time that he leaned in to kiss her, she kissed him back. And you can tell that Jessica was hurt about it. And Harry walked in at the worst possible time because he ended up walking in right while Jessica and Melinda were having this conversation. And Jessica did not want him to leave. She wanted him to stay so that they can really get to the bottom of what went down. But he ended up walking away anyway. And Jessica was really upset at Melinda. She was kind of getting a little bit rowdy on Melinda a bit because she felt like Melinda should have told her this in private. And I don't agree with her about that because at the end of the day, the girls all sat down to spill the tea on what was going on. And I feel like Melinda did it the right way. She said it in front of everybody. Everybody's going to see this anyway. So I really don't understand why Jessica cared. I mean, I can understand why she was upset a little bit at Melinda because Melinda knew that Jessica and Harry were a thing. And so why would you go flirt with him the way that she was? However, it's a TV show and the point of the show is to try to match with somebody, whether they're matched up with somebody else or not. So I honestly feel like Jessica should have had that energy for Harry. She did come at Harry, but I felt like she came at Melinda a little bit harder than she went at Harry. And I think it's because she really was embarrassed. Melinda was right though. They shouldn't be arguing over these guys, especially guys who are so quick to jump on the next girl that comes around. I don't think that they should be arguing over it in the first place. Now, I do agree with Dom with what he said to Harry about his relationship with Jessica. If he's not serious about Jessica, or he doesn't think that it's going to work out for them in the long run, or he's just looking for a good time and he's not serious at all, that he should end things with Jessica because at the end of the day, Jessica has a daughter, so they're a package deal. If he gets into a relationship with Jessica, at some point he's going to end up meeting her daughter and being a part of her life too. If things don't work out or Harry fucks up and he cheats on Jessica or something like that, it's not only going to affect Jessica, but it's also going to affect her daughter. And I agree with Dom on that. I think he's absolutely right. Now, Xanthi ends up going to spill the tea to Tolu about what Chris was saying behind her back. Basically, Xanthi ended up telling Tolu that Chris told her that because he's been spending so much time with Tolu and constantly matching with her, he's robbed himself of this experience, and that maybe he does need to go get to know somebody else. And you can tell that Tolu was completely hurt and blindsided by this, because she thought that she could be really secure in the relationship with Chris and that he really wanted to be with her and that there was nobody else that he wanted to get to know. And I can understand why Tolu felt blindsided, because honestly, I'm not even in the situation, and I was blindsided by Chris going to Xanthi and saying what he said, because now it makes me feel like he's not genuine when it comes to Tolu, and at first I thought that he was. So Tolu ends up going to confront Chris about what she just heard from Xanthi, and he denied everything that Xanthi said. Even though what Xanthi said was the truth, she didn't lie on Chris at all. I don't understand why he's lying, and he can't just be upfront and honest about everything that he said. Now he ends up calling Xanthi over there and asking her what she said to Tolu, so she repeated herself. And yet again, Chris is still denying everything. So Xanthi gets pissed off and she walks away because she knows she's telling the truth. And almost all the guys, including Chris, kept saying that these girls just came to the house to try to stir up drama and that they're lying to break up relationships because they want to match to be back in the house. And some of the girls do want to match and be back in the house. That's why they were flirting and having conversations with some of the guys. However, they're not lying about the things that they're telling the girls that these guys were doing. If they didn't want these girls to be able to go back and tell the women that they're matched with what they were doing, then they should have behaved themselves, because so far the only guys that knew how to conduct themselves well during Guys Day was Steven and Justin, which Alora and Steven do end up matching again with each other because they really don't want to be with anybody else. To me, they're the most genuine couple, and I feel like Steven was the only guy who knew how to play the game right, because when he came in, he knew he wasn't going to meet his match right away. He ended up matching up with Micah first. They weren't a good fit, and then he ended up going to Xanthi. They weren't a good fit, and then he ended up going to Alora, and they were a really good fit. But I don't agree with Alora with what she was saying to Jessica. I don't know if she was being genuine or she just wanted to reassure Jessica that everything's okay between her and Harry. But Alora kept saying that she doesn't think that Harry kissed Melinda and that Melinda is just coming into the house to try to stir things up so that she can get a spot. I agree that Melinda was trying to stir things up. That's why she was all over Harry. However, Harry should have conducted himself better and knew that he had a girl back at home and that he shouldn't have been all over Melinda the way that he was. He knew that he was doing the wrong thing and he decided to do it anyway. So to blame Melinda for it, I don't know. It just makes me look at them sideways. Harry proved that, yeah, he does like Jessica. However, if a girl that he's attracted to comes around and she's interested in him, he'll definitely give in to temptation, and that's something that Jessica needs to think about going forward. And Jessica and Harry did have a conversation, and this time Jessica kind of went off on Harry because she didn't like how he was trying to basically deny that he did anything, because I don't think that she believes that Melinda's lying. I don't think that she believes that Harry is the one who kissed Melinda first, but I think that she truly does believe that something happened that was inappropriate. And so she's going off on Harry, telling him that she doesn't really care what he does in her face, but what he does behind her back is what actually counts. And I agree. I think what he does behind her back counts. And to me, he's shown that he can't be trusted whenever she's not around. Now, Brighton is a huge troublemaker because he wants to get back into the house so bad that he ended up going up to Kaz and telling him that when he was talking to Micah, she said that they're the weakest couple, and that really seemed to piss off Kaz. So he goes and has a conversation with Christine. They're being very flirty with each other. He says that she's on the top of his list, and then she ends up asking him to kiss her, and he won't do it because he knows that Mike is right there, and I just feel like he didn't think it was the right time to do it. The thing about it is that he should just go ahead and do it because you know that he wants to. You can literally tell that he wants to kiss the other girls. Kaz even ends up going up to Holly, and he's flirting with her as well, and then he goes to Britton, and he's flirting with her too, and Micah is watching all of this go down, and she seems really hurt about it. Like, I feel like she had genuine feelings for Kaz, and her feelings are truly hurt. And like I said before, because Micah keeps venting to everybody about the cracks in her relationship with Kaz, everybody is trying to break the two of them up because they see that they're the weakest links. So Brighton ends up going up to Micah and telling her that he's attracted to her and that he wants to match with her, but the ball's in her court. And she admits that Brighton is the only other guy besides Kaz that she's interested in and that she finds attractive. So at this point, Brighton feels like he has a guaranteed spot in the house. And because Kaz sees Micah and Brighton having a conversation, he decides to join the drinking game that everybody else is playing, and they're doing dares while they're doing the drinking game, and he ends up getting dared to kiss Holly, and the two of them have a very passionate kiss. Now, he said that he didn't feel anything when he kissed Holly, but he did want to kiss her, and that's the reason why he did it. And Micah is watching, and she's so upset. It looks like she's shaking, she's crying, she's really hurt, and I honestly felt bad for Micah. And this is the first time I've ever felt bad for Micah, because I really didn't like her on Love is Blind, but I feel like this time around she's showing a different side of herself. And after Kaz ends up making out with Holly, he realizes that there's nothing there between the two of them. So he goes up to Christine and he tells her that he wants to match with her, and they end up matching with each other, and you can tell that Micah's heart is completely broken. And she's looking around because at this point I think that she was going to match with Brighton in order to stay in the house, even though she really doesn't have feelings for him. She just finds him attractive, but she sees him over there talking to Elise. Now Elise is having a conversation with Brighton, and she's been physically attracted to him, and he claims that he's been physically attracted to her, but she ends up asking him why he didn't try to match with her then. And Brighton tells Elise that the reason why he was talking to Micah is because he just wanted to be able to stay in the house. So basically he's saying that everything he just said to Micah was not true, and the only reason why he was trying to match with Micah in the first place is because he just wanted to get back in the house. And for some reason Elise didn't see this as a red flag, so she's flirting with him, and she's saying that she has feelings for Justin, but she feels like Justin is getting too deep too soon, and it's not something that she's into, because earlier in the day Justin actually opened up to Elise about how he feels about her, and he has really strong feelings about Elise, and he said he doesn't want any other girl. Now personally, I feel like Elise should have stuck with Justin. However, if she's not feeling it for Justin, then I don't think it's a good idea to lead him on either. So she ends up deciding to match with Brighton, and then she ends up going to try to have a conversation with Justin, and she lets him know that she decided to match with Brighton because she feels like something is drawing her to him, and that maybe she's making a mistake, but she just wants to see where it goes. And if things don't work out with Brighton, then she'll be interested in working things out with Justin. But Justin did not want to hear anything that Elise had to say. And honestly, I can understand where he's coming from and why he's so upset, because she's the only girl that he wanted to be with. He just opened up to her about how he feels, and now all of a sudden she's blindsiding him by choosing to match with Brighton. It just came out of nowhere. I wasn't really expecting that, and I don't think he was expecting it either. So he ends up deciding to leave because he doesn't want to be with any other girl but her. And the thing about it is I feel like he has genuine feelings for Elise, or at least I feel like he does, because I mean, he didn't match with any other girl in the house. He could have chosen to match with one of the other girls that haven't been matched yet, and he could have still stayed in the house. So now Micah is completely distraught, because at this point she was supposed to match with Kaz, but Kaz decided to match with Christine, and then she was supposed to match with Brighton, but he ended up matching with Elise, and now she doesn't know what to do. So Izzy ends up coming over there to try to comfort her, and you know, basically she ends up choosing to match with Izzy because she feels like he's genuinely there to find somebody. And I mean, I think that Izzy is genuinely there to find somebody too. However, I don't think that it's right that she chose him as a last resort. She's not interested in Izzy, she's not attracted to him, and I don't think that she genuinely wants to see where things go with Izzy. I think she chose him because she still wants to stay in the house. Now, after Tolu ended up confronting Chris, he's sitting in the corner crying by himself, and Tolu ends up going over there to have a conversation with Chris, because Chris was crying because he ended up seeing that Tolu was having a conversation with Nigel, and he thought that she was going to choose to match with Nigel, but Tolu seems to have very genuine feelings for Chris, so they have a conversation and she ends up hugging him, and the two of them decide to match up with each other. Now, I think it's okay for Tolu to choose to match with Chris. However, I don't really think that she should take him seriously right now until he proves himself, because the stuff that I heard him saying to Xanthi makes me think that he's not genuinely interested in being with Tolu. Like, I thought he was genuine at first, but after I saw him do that, it makes me wonder if he really is. Now, Harry was throwing up, okay, because he said that he was so afraid that Jessica was going to end up leaving him over this lie that Melinda made up. And the more he reacts this way to the whole Melinda situation makes me believe Melinda even more, because if he knows that he did not kiss Melinda and nobody has any footage of it and nobody else saw it, then why is he crying? Why is he throwing up? And why is he being extra? Now, I feel like Jessica genuinely does like Harry and she wants to be with him, and she's been eating up everything that he's been saying to her. So she wants to stay with him. And I think regardless of this whole Melinda situation, she would stay with Harry anyway. So I don't know why he's being so dramatic. She did chew into him though, and we honestly don't know if they choose to match in the next episode. But I can bet you all the money I have in my savings account that she's going to choose to continue to match with Harry. So those are my thoughts on episodes 7, 8, and 9 of The Perfect Match. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button for me. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos and hit the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I appreciate you all, and until next time, I will talk to you guys in my next video.